Most men think that chasing their wife when she is checking out emotionally is the only way to save their marriage because they are trying to make up for the effort they believe has been lacking. But the truth is, the more effort you put into chasing her to close that gap, the more you're leading the relationship straight to a divorce. So in today's video, I'm going to show you why our instincts as men to chase end up causing so much damage and hurt for us, and give you the real direction that nobody around you will tell you to do, but it is the only direction to take if you want to successfully save your relationship and get it to a thriving state. One of the quickest ways to lose someone is to put a whole bunch of pressure on them when they want to leave. I always thought that if you really love someone, you would continue to fight for the relationship to the very last breath. And you know what? It is the right thing to do, but for the longest time in my life, I was doing all the wrong things to fight for my previous failed relationships, and my guess is you're doing the wrong things too. For me, it was the same pattern over and over again. It didn't matter if she said she needed space, if she was quieter than usual, or if something just didn't feel the same anymore. When I sensed that distance in her, everything in me started to tighten emotionally, and that is coming from a guy who was very conscious and very logical. Let me know in the comments if this sounds like you, but when I sensed the distance and things were getting rocky, I went into a mode where I was just trying to force clarity from her and get that reassurance that everything will be okay in the relationship. I would just continue to get her to talk things through and profess my love for her and how much I wanted to fix things. And to be honest, most people would look at that and say, hey, look at him. He really cares and he is trying so hard to fix things. This is the biggest trap we get suckered into as men, thinking we have to turn it on and just try our absolute hardest to make things right, because it makes complete sense. We're so blinded and focused on our effort not to lose her that we have absolutely no clue to even think about what it feels like to her on her side of things. It doesn't even register as a major thought in our minds. And that's the craziest part, because this is the only thing that ultimately matters when trying to save your relationship: how it feels to her. So while we are working through everything we can to try and move forward towards her, reignite that closeness and connection with her by going through kind of our list of actions that we think we're supposed to take, her perspective is completely different. When you flip positions and look at it through her eyes, she just sees you closing in on her. For her to move towards you, she has to feel open and like it's a choice. And you may be thinking, but it is a choice. I want her to choose to be with me. And I get it. Trust me, I know that feeling more than anything. But when you are taking the actions you're taking, it feels like you are closing in on her from her perspective because of the huge amount of urgency, tension, and expectation behind all those actions. It feels like something is being taken from you when there is this very imminent threat to the relationship, and that is reflective of how you are showing up. And here's the part that nobody explains to men. When she starts pulling away emotionally, she's already overwhelmed on some level. Our frustration really hits the peak when the relationship is having its issues, and we try to do these things to fix it, but she's not responding like we think she should. We don't get that she is already feeling that emotional disconnection because of the weight of how the relationship has been for some time. So when you chase, as much as you intend to make her feel closer, it's just like adding a bunch of emotional elephants onto her shoulder. Think about like scooping up a nice handful of sand when you're at the beach. If you hold it lightly and kind of maintain that grounded cup of your hand, the sand stays in there pretty good. But the moment you feel like you're losing it and you panic and you just tighten your grip, what happens? It starts slipping right through your fingers. Chasing is the tightening grip. It comes from fear of loss, but it actually creates the loss you're trying to avoid. I know, frustrating as hell, and it eluded me for over a decade of repetitive heartbreak. And the hardest part, it doesn't feel like you're tightening your grip when you chase her. It feels like you're opening your arms wide open to embrace and hold on to something that matters. Once chasing starts, a loop forms, and it doesn't get any better once you're caught into it. You basically go into the loop of feeling her pull away. You try and emergency fix everything by trying harder. She starts to feel that pressure. She backs up even more, and you try harder, but maybe in slightly different ways. And now you're just in it. It just keeps going over and over again, and you're reacting to her behavior as you're watching her pull further away, trying more, and thinking that you're doing everything you can in response to her distance, when the reality is you're just amplifying that distance. Every time you do the next iteration of the loop, it creates something way worse than the space between you two. It continues to build a horrible experience of you in her emotions. That behavior just leads to loss of attraction, loss of emotional safety, and loss of respect from her. Ultimately, you start to become the thing that she needs space from. See, At the beginning, when everything started to feel like it was in a bad spot in a relationship and you noticed her distance, she is really just pulling away from that relationship dynamic. But as the chasing continues, she starts pulling away from you because now you represent pressure, emotional demand, and expectation. You become the source of the feeling she's trying to escape, and that association is very hard to break once it forms. This is where the biggest threat of divorce actually starts. Most people think divorce starts when she says she's done, but it doesn't. The moment she says she's done is just a huge indicator that you need to start turning things around. The real threat of divorce starts when she is withdrawing emotionally from you and you become the opposition by chasing her and compounding the issue. That is where you cause her to get to a point where she wants out for good. So how do you approach this delicate time so that you are not the opposition who is chasing their wife right out of your life? If you follow most advice, they're going to tell you to try and give her space. But that's really not enough, because if you give her space the wrong way, it's not going to have the right impact that you need. Most men will give space in a way that's pulling away in a reactive and desperate manner and as a last-ditch effort to try and elicit that response from her that you want. What actually changes everything is when you put the brakes on and stop chasing her and then turn all your energy towards leading yourself. You don't spend all your energy trying to force connection back with her. You have to focus on your presence and your direction. She doesn't need you to chase her. Trust me, if it were that easy, then I wouldn't have gone through so much pain and heartbreak in my life that eventually beat me down to a point where I had to go searching for what actually works. But what she needs is to feel that she can come towards you without pressure. So what does leading yourself look like in a practical sense? Well, when you're in this scenario where you would normally be doing all these things to chase her, so you're texting her more while you're both at work because you feel like if you don't, that connection is being lost, and you're asking her where you stand, and you're just basically getting her to kind of have that talk with you to get some reassurance on everything. You have to be able to slow down how you are reacting to the entire situation and to her. Masculine energy is being able to have a purpose and to be calm. So as hard as it is right now, because you have only been thinking about all the negative outcomes for the future of your relationship, you have to be the one to stay steady emotionally if she isn't. And a big part of that is taking a step back and stopping trying to fix everything in the relationship in real time and with huge amounts of urgency and pressure. This is the hardest part to understand as a man in this situation, because it's completely counterintuitive and basically all of society encourages to do anything but this. But the reality is, the less you chase, the more space you are creating for the connection to come back. People who disagree with this will always say it's like playing games by ignoring her. You're not ignoring her at all. You're putting your focus on leading yourself as a man and taking that pressure away from her. By doing this the correct way, you take that pressure away and it allows her feelings to engage again by experiencing you and your situation completely differently. If you're watching this right now and realizing, like, this is me, this is exactly what's going on right now as I'm trying to reconnect with my wife and everything just seems to stay the same contentiousness level, or things just feel like they're getting worse, it feels like that because no one's really ever showed you what actually works when you find yourself in this situation. If this is resonating with you and you want to turn things around without pushing her away further, go watch my free Relationship Rebuild Masterclass today. I break this all down step by step. What's actually happening beneath the surface with her emotionally, what she's responding to, and how to truly lead in a way that rebuilds connection and her attraction for you again. You can watch that right now for free by clicking the link in the description or pinned comment below. And if your wife has already asked for space from you and you are scrambling on what to do, watch this video next.